For many businesses in Vietnam, client data is one of the most valuable assets. It represents years of relationship building, market development, and trust. However, one of the most critical risk moments is often overlooked. It is not when data is collected, it is when an employee resigns. At that point, the question becomes clear. How do you protect your client data when employees leave your company in Vietnam? Employees, especially in sales, management, and client-facing roles, often have direct access to sensitive information. This includes customer lists, pricing structures, negotiation history, and business strategies. When an employee leaves, they do not just take their experience, they may also take valuable knowledge about your clients. In competitive industries, this information can be used immediately. Without proper legal and operational safeguards, your business may lose more than just an employee. Vietnam law recognizes the importance of protecting confidential information and trade secrets. However, protection is not automatic. To enforce your rights, you must demonstrate that the information qualifies as confidential, that it has been properly protected, and that there has been a breach. This means that relying solely on general employment contracts is often insufficient. Specific legal mechanisms must be in place. The first layer of protection is a well-drafted non-disclosure agreement. This agreement should clearly define what constitutes client data and confidential information. It should also specify how the information can be used, and prohibit unauthorized disclosure or use after employment ends. In Vietnam, clarity and specificity are essential for enforceability. A vague clause may not provide meaningful protection. Many companies assume that non-compete agreements will prevent employees from taking client data to competitors. In reality, non-compete clauses in Vietnam have limitations, especially in employment relationships. They may be difficult to enforce if they are too broad, or restrict the employee's right to work. This is why confidentiality obligations should be your primary focus. Protect the information itself, not just the employee's movement. Legal agreements alone are not enough. You must also control how client data is accessed within your organization. This includes limiting access to only those who need it, using secure systems, and tracking data usage. If all employees can freely access sensitive client information, it becomes harder to argue that the data was protected. In Vietnam, demonstrating that you took reasonable steps to safeguard information is critical. The resignation process is a key moment for risk management. When an employee leaves, companies should conduct a structured exit procedure. This includes reminding the employee of their confidentiality obligations, collecting company devices, revoking system access, and confirming the return or deletion of sensitive data. These steps are not just operational, they also strengthen your legal position if a dispute arises. If client data is misused, enforcement depends on your ability to prove it. This means maintaining records of data access, communication, and contractual obligations. You should be able to demonstrate what information was confidential, who had access to it, and how it was protected. Without this evidence, even a strong NDA may be difficult to enforce in Vietnam. We have seen cases where employees leave and quickly approach former clients using knowledge gained from their previous role. In some situations, entire client portfolios are affected. Even if the company has agreements in place, weak drafting or lack of evidence can limit legal remedies. This is where the gap between theory and practice becomes clear. For foreign investors in Vietnam, client data is often a key driver of business value. Losing that data, or losing control over it, can directly impact revenue and market position. In a fast-growing and competitive environment, protecting your client relationships is essential. This requires a combination of legal, operational, and strategic measures. At LTS Law, we assist foreign investors and businesses in Vietnam in designing legal frameworks to protect confidential information, including client data. This includes drafting enforceable NDAs, reviewing employment contracts, and advising on internal compliance measures. Our approach focuses on practical protection, ensuring that your legal structure supports your business operations. Protecting client data does not begin when an employee resigns, it begins when they join your company. If your legal and operational systems are not in place early, it may be too late to act when a risk arises. Visit lts.com.vn to consult with our legal team and ensure your business in Vietnam is structured to protect its most valuable assets from the start.